Right, let's continue with that story. Crossing live to our reporter, Moloko Moloto, who joins us now just to tell us what the latest is. Moloko, so Judge Sutherland telling us what the decision by that bench was earlier today. What's the way forward? What is the Jacob Zuma Foundation, for instance, telling you?
Well, Masero, basically what it means is that President Cyril Ramaphosa has won round one of this legal battle of the two presidents between him as the incumbent and his predecessor, Jacob Zuma. What it simply means in simple terms is that the president, Cyril Ramaphosa, will not be appearing in court on Thursday to face criminal charges as Mr. Zuma had wanted, because he had issued the president with a summons compelling him to appear before the very same High Court on Thursday. So the president succeeded in convincing this panel of three judges who had his argument that this particular prosecution that was meant to commence on the 19th of January, which is Thursday, must be interdicted so that the court can now come and ventilate on the arguments relating to Part B. So as matters stand, of course, we don't know whether the JG Zuma Foundation, what action they will be taking going forward. Possibly they do have a recourse to challenge this particular judgment at the Supreme Court of Appeal. But as matters stand, the situation is that that is Mr. Zuma, is not allowed to criminally prosecute President Cyril Ramaphosa on the 19th as he had intended.
And our understanding, of course, Moloko, is that you can't appeal an interim order, and today's judgment is an interim order, and that has to wait for Part B, which I understand, Moloko, Judge Sutherland also said Part B would determine the application for the cost in this case.
Well, the president's application was divided in two parts. Part A was specifically to interdict Mr. Zuma from commencing with that criminal prosecution on the 19th. That's now on the side, it's done. He's not allowed to do that. Part B relates to the president then trying to poke holes, challenging the validity, the legality, and the constitutionality of the non-prosecution certificate issued by the NPA, in which it indicates that it's not willing to prosecute any person relating to Mr. Zuma's complaint. You would recall Mr. Zuma wanted to prosecute Advocate Billy Downer as well as journalist Karen Mon. He wanted the NPA to prosecute those because he believed that the senior prosecutor Downer leaked his medical certificate to Karen Mon. Now the NPA declined to prosecute. Now when it declines to prosecute and somebody wants to take that matter forward by privately prosecuting, the NPA must issue out that particular non-prosecution certificate. And when it issued it, at first in August 2021, the NPA issued a certificate in which it mentioned that it will not prosecute Billy Downer. It did not mention the name of journalist Karen Mon. And strangely, later in November, the NPA issued another certificate wherein it says, it doesn't mention names, it simply says it is not going to prosecute anyone relating to that matter. That's when Mr. Zuma decided to say, because he had written a letter to the president asking him to institute an inquiry into the conduct of Advocate Downer as a prosecutor, and the president did not do that. Instead, he referred that complaint or letter of Mr. Zuma to the Minister of Justice. Then Mr. Zuma felt that the president was assisting Mr. Downer to evade justice, according to him. That is why then he wanted to pursue the president and charge him criminally privately. Now, that Part B, which is relating to the validity of that non-prosecution certificate, because the president says, I'm not even related to this matter. That certificate does not even speak to me as president. Then the court must first hear the arguments and rule and decide on the validity. If the court is to rule that that certificate is eligible, is valid and legal, it stands to be the case that Zuma will continue with the prosecution of Ramaphosa. But if the court says that that particular certificate is invalid, it does not concern Ramaphosa, chances are clear that Ramaphosa will not be prosecuted by Mr. Zuma.